All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back for yet another live stream. So I got a bone to pick with every single one of y'all watching, especially if you actually caught the last live stream last Sunday. Welcome everybody to La Familia. If you aren't subscribed, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, like this video, and share it with as many people as possible. I'm about to drop some certified gems when it comes to how to build business credit, as I always do. Now, the reason why I'm going live right now is because I went live last Sunday and all of you guys had the nerve to stay and listen to me talk for a full hour without telling me that there was some loud, annoying music playing in the background. I had no idea. So that's why we're doing this over. And it's safe to say I will never again go live without my headset so I can hear what you guys hear. So I apologize for that. But, we're going to jump right into it. But first, man, whether this is your first time or you joined me last time, talk to me. Let me know what's up. How y'all doing this Tuesday afternoon? Now, I do want to go ahead and go over the rules real quick. The way I like to do things is, as you can see, right over here, I have the 4 topics that I plan on touching based on today. Just below that, you see today's topic is business credit, how to build business credit, in fact. And at any point, if you guys have any questions, I want you to not hesitate and go ahead and drop a question in the live chat. And I will stop and I will answer your question. But at the end, we'll have like all the time left over that we need to answer any of your questions. Now, I want this to be as interactive as possible. So do me a favor and just let me know how you guys are feeling and stop me at any point if you have a question about anything that I share. Now, with that being said, same thing goes for you guys watching the replay. If you have a question, it doesn't matter. I always do my best and go through and reread the comments. So drop a comment if you have a question about anything that I say today or just anything in general. There's a lot of misinformation out there. So it's my duty to make sure I can do my best to, try to, correct anything that you may have heard. Now, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, why do net 30s matter, or do they matter? Right? So just like we did last Sunday, I want you guys, the people who are watching right now, I want you to participate. Let me know. Drop a comment. Even you guys watching the replay, drop a comment. Let me know whether or not you think net 30s matter or not, and why. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth and in my opinion on why net 30s matter, but let's talk about why I even present this question. So the reason why I want to talk about this is because I come across a lot of new and existing business owners and entrepreneurs who have good credit. And I'm a big proponent of making sure that if you have bad credit as an entrepreneur, it is your duty to not ignore the elephant in the room and handle that. Take care of your credit, because you will hit a wall when it comes to funding, and it's extremely difficult to get business funding with bad credit. Now, with that being said, I come across a lot of, like I said, business owners, whether it be my students in GreenScale Academy, whether it be people I, run across in the street, or anyone who I have a one-on-one consultation with. And I come across people who have excellent credit or good credit, and they don't really understand why they still need net 30s when they can come in on day one and on ground zero and get approved for let's say a tier 3 business credit card. And if you're unfamiliar with the tiers in business credit, don't worry, stick with me, and we will definitely go over the 3-tier system that I use and I teach. Now, if you can get an American Express card or a Chase Ink card or one of these major business credit cards with a new business, why? Why is it important to get a net 30 account? All right. Now, the reason why you do and why it is important is because you can, in fact, have two American Express cards, right? Let's say you have an American Express Business Platinum and you have an American Express Business Gold or Business Blue or Business Plum. There's so many different ones, right? You can have that and still not even have enough to develop a business credit score, right? So I had someone recently comment under one of my videos and they said the American Express card doesn't report. Well, I'm telling you, I can guarantee that it does. Why? Because I have several American Express cards and they all report. American Express on the business side reports to Dun& Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian. So how could you possibly have an American Express business credit card and have it not report? Well, the reason why is because you may not have enough payment experience and trade references that report to Dun& Bradstreet, for example. And we're going to talk about the business credit rating next. But I'll go ahead and tell you, for example, in order for you to have a Paydex score with Dun& Bradstreet, you got to have at least 3 separate or 3 consecutive payments that will report on at least, let's say, 2 different trade lines or 2 different trade references or bank references, right? So even if you have a business credit card and you've only used it once or twice, that's not enough to even develop a paydex score. Another thing is if you have mismatched data and when you signed up or you apply for that American Express business credit card or any credit card or any net 30 for that matter, and the business address that you have with them is actually your personal address and it doesn't match what your bank account shows or what the Secretary of State shows, that's what we call mismatched data. And it's not going to report and it's not going to show up on what, Nav, if you got Nav, NAV, which I always recommend. If you have Nav to check and monitor your credit, don't be surprised or, don't get confused when you look and you don't have anything reporting yet. It could be because the accounts that you signed up for are not showing the correct business information. And so there's no way for it to sync up. All right. Now, what I always tell anyone who's looking to build business credit is even if you have good credit or bad credit, you need to build a solid foundation of business credit. So, what is a solid foundation? In my opinion, what I teach is you need to have, or you should shoot to have, at least 5 different accounts, vendor accounts that will report to Dun& Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian. Once you do that and you have at least 5 reporting across the board, they can be tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And once you do that, you would have a solid foundation. So even if you have great credit and you have the ability to go and get approved for a major business credit card, that's only 2 trade references that report. You need to add another 3 so that way you have 5 that report across the board. That way you will have enough payment history established to not only develop a paydex score and an Intella score and an Equifax business credit score, but when you go to apply for things, your business can be considered as low risk, not medium risk, not high risk, because those will give you denials. You want to be considered as low risk. Now let's move into the second topic, right? This is the perfect segue. Let's move into business credit ratings, okay? So some of you may not be familiar, but when you pull up your full and detailed business credit report, whether it be with Experian, with Dun & Bradstreet, or Equifax, okay, one thing you must learn is there are more than one business credit scores, right? And I'm not talking about the, IntelliScore. I'm talking about with Dun & Bradstreet, for an example. Do you know that Dun & Bradstreet, the paydex score is just one of the many ratings that you can have. So it's not enough to just know what your Dun and Bradstreet paydex score is, which is just your business credit score. You must also know what your credit ratings are, what your business ratings are. So, for example, with Dun and Bradstreet, you actually have something literally called a DNB rating. Now, your DNB rating is most of the time it's going to be, well, every time it's going to be a series of numbers and letters. So, for example, your DNB rating can be a 5A3, right? So what the heck is a 5A3? What does that mean, right? Now you can have a 5A3 and then right under that it'll say that it is a moderate risk, right? That your company is a moderate risk. Whole time you walking around thinking that your company is a low risk because you have a 75 or an 80 paydex score. And then you turn around and get denied and you don't understand why. It's because you really need to learn about all of the different ratings. So, for example, with DNB, you have the delinquency predictor percentile. That's normally also from 1 to 100. But it can be, you can have an 82 delinquency predictor score and a 75 paydex score. You see, all of these different ratings to try to put it into a bow and wrap it up for you to make it easy to comprehend is there's different ways that they try to predict the likelihood that your business is going to survive or fail within the next 12 to 24 months. So you also have the financial stress predictor or predictile. You also have the what we call the SIR. So that's the supplier supplier evaluation risk rating, and then you finally have the DNB rating. So if you really want if you want to learn more about all of these different ratings, then I would highly recommend you check out GreenScale Academy, because I've created a full 6-week course where I do a super deep dive on all things business formation, business credit building, how to get capital, and even raise capital for your business through creative funding. So again, business credit is not as simple as just signing up for net 30s and then going and getting 6-figure funding. It's not going to happen. You have to learn how to impact all these different ratings to improve your chances of getting approved for funding down the road. Okay. And again, remember, guys, if you have any questions, definitely make sure you leave a comment and you put the question in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer as we go. And as I try to stay on point with everything that we're talking about today. Now, we talked about why net 30s matter. We talked about business credit ratings. Now, the next thing and the last thing I'll say before I move on to the next one is, no matter what, always remember, you want to look at your full credit report from the source. So Nav is awesome. If you sign up for Nav Prime, you'll be able to see all 3 of your major, like the DNB, Paydex, Experian, and Telescore, and your Equifax business credit rating. But you'll also see your FICO SBSS score, aka your FICO liquid score. And that's going to be a combination of your business Experian and your personal Experian, which is one of the most important, or not, if not the most important score. Now, all of that, again, has to do with whether or not your business is high, moderate, or low risk. So make sure your business stays at low risk no matter what. All right. Now let's talk about the 3-tier system that I teach for credit building, for business credit building. Now, you may have signed up for one of those expensive suites where they show you like there's 5 or 6 different tiers of business credit. Scrap it. Okay. Let me simplify things for you. Right. That's how I like to do it. I like to teach things in a way that I like to receive information. So instead of thinking there's 4 and 5 different tiers, I want to break it down to you in 3 simple tiers that you're going to use to strategically build business credit. Now, to do this, I'm going to take you straight into my course, and I'm going to teach you guys something real quick about how to build business credit simplified, especially with these 3 tiers, and it'll really help you out. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And again, don't hesitate. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. All right. So let's talk about the 3-tier system, but starting with tier 1. So building business credit, no different than choosing not to finish school or deciding that training is unnecessary because you already feel like you know enough, right? How many of you kind of feel like that? If you watch enough YouTube videos, you feel like you know enough when it comes to business credit. You can start a business without an education or experience, but how long do you think you can keep it? So you know how to establish business credit, you know how to get a pay debt score, but what happens next, right? Do you know how to really establish that business credit and keep it high enough or to impact your approvals, right? So the same thing applies for business funding, right? You can build business credit by watching YouTube videos and applying for vendors to develop credit scores, but you need to answer these 4 questions. If you cannot answer these 4 questions with a yes, you don't know enough and you need to continue to search to build that knowledge. Number 1, can you maintain a good score? Can you build it? Can you successfully obtain 6-figure loans and lines of credit? Do you fully understand your scores and credit reports? The last one is really important. If you pull up your credit report from the source, right, from Experian or Equifax or DNB, and you're looking at it and you don't really understand it yet, that's something you need to take your time. And I teach you that, of course, in the academy, but that's something you need to really take your time and go through because it's really important. Now, building business credit with an end goal in mind is super important. I tell you guys all the time, strategy. You need to have a strategy when you're applying for these things. Don't just go and start applying for things willy-nilly, right? Now, here are some examples. Stacking credit cards, right? High limit reward cards for daily spending. And I'm talking about business expenses, not vacations. Raising investment capital, which is what we call other people's money, accessing 6-figure loans, and long-term scalability for your business. So your business does not become another statistic and you can actually survive long enough to really make some money. You want to build a portfolio that will impress lenders and future partners, and you want to build by showing consistent payment experiences across various trade references. Don't rush or skip steps because there are levels to this. And that's why we're going to go over this 3-tier system next. All right. If you have bad credit, you must take your time and complete each stage of building business credit or you will be denied. Now, if you have good credit, there is opportunity to expedite your journey with the right strategy if you're open to PGing. Now, if you've been watching a lot of YouTube or maybe you've seen TikToks or IG Reels, I'm sure you probably heard people say, "Don't PG. I don't understand why you're PGing." Let me just tell you something real quick. It is impossible for you to get business funding without PGing at some point. Yes, you can go through, and I'm going to show you what the 3 tiers are. Yes, you can get through tier 1 and some of tier 2 without a personal guarantee, but there is no way that you can get a business loan or a business line of credit, an official, not a corporate credit card. That's different, but you can't get a business credit card or a line of credit without PGing. Even though with corporate credit, you can go and get a car, EIN only, right? But you can't get real deal funding without PGing. Now, there are several tiers of business credit based on 2 factors. The first factor is the type of trade reference. The second factor are the prerequisites that are going to be needed or necessary to even get that tier 1 or tier 2 or tier 3 vendor. All right, now let's jump right into it. Now, this is how I break down the 3 tiers. So tier one includes invoice payment options like net 30, net 15, net 60, right? Secured credit cards, credit builder programs. Now, all credit builder programs and secured credit cards, right? These are what we would call companies that welcome startup companies with no payment experience or trade references. So that will be your Quills, your Ulines, your Nav Prime, anything that will accept you as a brand spanking new business with no revenue. Okay. Then we're going to jump into tier three. Tier three includes corporate credit cards. Notice I didn't say business credit cards, corporate credit cards, low limit credit cards, fuel cards, right? Like your WEX and your, Fuel Man and everything else, beginner level funding, and then this usually requires limited time in business or fair credit scores. I'm gonna give you an example. So you can go and get not Wells Fargo. You can go and get a Sam's Club card, which is a net 30 corporate credit card, and they don't care what business credit you have. They just want to make sure that your business is legitimate and verifiable, right? They want to make sure they can validate your business information. If they are able to do that successfully, you could get approved. So just let me know, guys. What do you think that would be, tier one or tier two? So with Sam's Club, you can get in just with them validating your business information. So do you think that's tier one, tier two? I'm gonna just go ahead and answer it. It is a tier one. So let me give you an example of tier two though. The Staples account. So you can get a Staples and an Office Max Net 30 account. Even though it's a Net 30, they require you, or they want you to have an 80 IntelliScore. That's their Experian Business Credit Score, which requires you to have, let's say, 3 different trade accounts that have at least 3 or 4 consecutive months of on-time payments. So that would be tier two. All right. Now let's talk about tier three. Now, tier three includes high limit reward cards. So, like your American Express, and your Chase and things like that. A business line of credit through your bank, access to long term loans, and unsecured funding. So, that would be like equipment loans, franchise financing loans, and things like that. Then, the way you think about this is tier three requires good credit, well-established payment history with multiple trade references and time in business. So the biggest difference between tier two and tier three, well, from tier one and the other two, is with tier one, remember, you can get in at ground zero. But in order to get tier three and some tier twos, sometimes they're going to want to see that you've been in business for like 6 months. Let's take Capital on Tap, for example. With Capital on Tap, even though it's going to do a soft pull on your personal credit to give you a business credit card of 30,000 or more, they are going to require that you have been in business for at least 6 months. So that will be a tier three card. Okay. So those are essentially the 3 tiers. Now, one thing I want to point out is anything above tier three is what I would call a goal or high revenue. So, for example, 6-figure funding, that's going to have everything to do with how much money you're making. Also, getting like a black card, right? Or a centennial card. So black cards, it doesn't matter how much business credit you have with the black card. It's invitation only, and the only way you can even get a black card is if you're spending, let's say, $600,000 a month, or you have $1 million or more, or several $1 million in income and business revenue. So that's why that doesn't even count as a tier, because the only way to even get there is to have a high profit business. Okay. So these are the only 3 tiers that matter. Anything else above that is not really a tier. It just has to do with, how well your business is doing. Now, with that being said, do you guys have any questions about that? You have any questions about that? If not, let's just go ahead and move on to aged shelf corps. So I made a video about shelf corporations, right? But specifically credit ready aged shelf corps. Honestly, guys, I think a lot of you, and if you haven't seen the video, you definitely want to go back and watch it. It's the one that has the orange thumbnail, where I say the fastest way or the secret to get to 700,000 in business funding. So with Age Shelf Corps, I think a lot of you didn't watch the full video. The reason I say that is because I made it very straightforward that I'm not talking about just shelf corps. I'm talking about credit ready aged shelf corporations. So for those of you who may not know, a shelf corporation is a business that was in operation for several years, and then for whatever reason, the business owner or owners decided to sell that corporation to someone who would like it. Okay. Business brokering is a whole, industry. If you didn't know, there are people who make profit off of buying other people's businesses. I remember when I first started my YouTube channel and it started to take off a little bit, I had several emails of somebody trying to buy my channel. So the one person, let me give you the best example though, and why I want to say this. Number one, a credit ready age shelf corporation means it is a corporation that has been open or that has several years of age under its belt. If you were to buy that corporation that has age, you then can literally just take ownership of it. You become the owner, and the original incorporation date does not change. So the age, you get to basically piggyback off of that age, change the industry type, and then change the name, and then now you have that business and it's yours. That when you go to apply for something, they are going to use the time in business as a factor for approval. So if you have great credit, meaning great personal credit, and you're going to apply for a no doc loan, you can have an age shelf corp that shows that you've been in business for 6 or 7 years, and that can help you get approval. Now, this is not for everyone. So remember, I already said if you have good credit. So if you have bad credit, it will be a complete waste of money for you to buy a shelf corp. If you already have a corporation that has several years of age, again, it would be a waste of money for you to buy a shelf corp. Purchasing a shelf corp only makes sense for a small demographic of entrepreneurs. I'll give you one example. People who are in real estate development. When you buy multiple, like let's say you're doing the Burr method and you're buying a property every year. If you have multiple properties and you're trying to get the highest number of doors, oftentimes, and I'm not a tax, professional, but oftentimes tax professionals will tell you that it may benefit you to have a new LLC created for each of your investment properties. So if you're going to get a loan or going to apply for a line of credit that's interest free, you could apply with a shelf corp because you already need to develop or create a new LLC anyway. So why not purchase a shelf corp, right? But if you have a work from home business or an e-commerce business, there's no need for you to purchase a shelf corp. You know what I'm saying? It just depends on your circumstances in order, to decide if it makes sense. Now, me personally, I've never purchased a shelf corp because my businesses already have age. And the only way purchasing a shelf corp will even really benefit you is if it has a lot of age. So just like purchasing an authorized user trade line back in the day when they actually did work, because they no longer do, the older the age, the better it is, and the higher the price is going to be. Okay, so I wanted to make that clear as well. And I have a question just popped up. Matter of fact, I think this is going to be a good time to go ahead and jump into questions. But yeah, so that's why I wanted to talk about aged shelf corps, not just any shelf corp, but a credit ready shelf corp. And then one more thing with shelf corps, even if you purchase a shelf corp with age, yes, you're going to get the age, but your business is going to business credit is going to go to zero. So you still have to establish and build business credit even for a shelf corp. That's why in the video I talked about wholesale shelf corporations, even though there's many other, resources, right? I don't work for them. It doesn't matter if you sign up for a different one or not, but I pointed them out because they actually have an 80 paydebt score system to where when you purchase a shelf corp, they will automatically help you get a 80 paydebt score in 40 days or less, which you would have to do, regardless if you decide to purchase one. Now, with that being said, guys, it's Q&A time. So drop your questions and let me know what questions you have. This is going to be just like a one-on-one consultation. So I'm gonna do something real quick. I'm a little parched, so I'm about to sip some water, but I'm gonna play a commercial for my business guys. Oftentimes when I get on the phone with you guys, you tell me like, Kelvin, like you got to do a better job of letting us know about your services. So if you don't know, I'm the CEO and founder of GreenScale Credit. We are here in Georgia, and we were actually voted the 2022 best credit restoration service here in Savannah. So if you are in need of help with personal credit, we can help you. Just simply, watch this quick commercial real quick and go over to our website if you are interested. And then I'll be right back right after this quick ad. Okay.
Meet Daniel. He owns a beautiful home, has a stable, high-paying job, and recently purchased his dream car. Life is great, until one day he, along with hundreds of his coworkers, are laid off. Now Daniel is unable to pay bills for several long months. Now his home is under foreclosure and his car was repossessed. Daniel was able to find a new job, but unfortunately the damage has already been done. His credit was ruined. It seemed like there was nothing he could do until a friend told him about our company GreenScale Credit. At GreenScale, we help improve your credit wellness, allowing you to be approved for the best credit cards, access the lowest rates on auto loans, home loans, and more, but most importantly, giving you a fresh start. Our team of friendly experts will walk you through the entire process while educating you along the way. With our help, Daniel was able to remove collection accounts, late payments, and repossessions from his credit report, resulting in significant increases in his credit score. Thanks to GreenScale Credit, he was able to save his home and purchase a new car with a lower interest rate. Life is finally getting better for him. Bad things happen to good people. The good news is bad credit is temporary. Take the first step on the road to recovery and go to www.greenscalecredit.com to sign up for your free credit consultation today.
All right, guys, I'm back. Got a little water, got a little agua, feeling much better. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the questions. I'm going to go one by one. I'm going to try to go all the way up to the top. And then, please continue to drop those questions. I want to make sure I get all of them answered. So Paul Salazar says, talking about Nav, they came out with the Nav Prom Card. Which credit report agency do they use to approve you? Now, Paul, I didn't even know, honestly, that this was out yet. Like I caught wind that Nav was coming out with a new card. And I honestly still don't know if it's live yet. So I'll have to get back to you on that. I actually have an appointment to speak with somebody at Nav like next week so they can give me all the details on the Prime account so I can make an updated Nav video. So I honestly can't answer that question just yet because it's brand new and I'm not even sure if it's rolled out yet. So when it is live, whether it just came out or not, I'm going to do my best at getting more information so I can make an updated video. But yeah, it's going to be a game changer because this is going to allow you guys to get, and me included, to get a second line of credit or a second trade line that's going to report to hopefully all three. But yeah, I'll get back to you guys on that as soon as I find out. Jarrell, what's up, Jarrell? says, how do you fix business credit? This is a great question. So the best way to do it, there's one way to do it, but there's three processes. So the best way I can put it is pull up your full copy of your credit report, find out what errors are there or what you want to be updated, and then you simply submit a dispute. Now, how you do it and the process of doing it varies based on the credit reporting agency. So with Dun and Bradstreet, you have to log into your DNB account at mydnb.com. Once you sign in and you pull up your credit signal, whether you got the free or the paid version, you should be able to file any type of dispute for free with Credit Signal with Dun and Bradstreet's website. So you pull it up, you look at your business information, and let's say you need to dispute something that you see on there. They have it to where you can submit a dispute, form, and then they'll go through the process. And I think DNB is actually one of the faster um, reporting agencies in terms of getting the disputes rolling. Now, with Experian, I've gone over this a few times on previous lives, but you have to go to their website, which is not Experian.com. It's actually Business Credit Facts with an S at the end.com. You go there, you're gonna see a button that says update my profile or update my business info. Put in your business name, the address, and then search. You're gonna see, you may or may not see multiple results, and you may have either one result or you may have two results. You may have one that has the updated information or correct information. You have one that has the incorrect information. It's very important that you update both of those results. If you just have one that shows up, cool. You click the button that says update my report. They're going to try to validate your information as the business owner. They're going to ask you a few questions, which one of these auto loans that you have in 2026, to try to verify your identity. If you answer those questions successfully, you'll get through to the dispute page where you can actually submit a dispute. They have two different ways. One of them goes to a robot or an automated system, and another goes through to a live person. Either way, with business credit, you should be able to go through the process, with no issues. They have a checkbox. You choose what you're going to dispute, and then they have a big text box where you can type in whatever you're going to dispute. What I do is I've had to dispute things on my business credit report before. You need to be as detailed as possible. Tell them what you're disputing, why you're disputing it, and tell them the result of the investigation that you want. So if it's true and, like, let's say it's a late payment and you really did miss it, to be honest, the chances of it being deleted or removed is not likely. But if it's something like, for example, in my past, I had like, if you watch my webinar and I tell my backstory, I used to have a drop shipping store, and I did Amazon drop shipping, Walmart drop shipping, Facebook Marketplace, all that good stuff. And through the process, because I'm selling in multiple states, you have to file a sales tax use, like for the state, for several states like Mississippi, and like various states require you to do it. So with those, you have to file these tax reports like once a month or once a quarter. I forgot to do it a couple of times, and so I got hit with some very minute tax liens, and those showed up on my credit report, and then they got dropped. Like Mississippi and whatever other state dropped it the next month. So I had to then go back and dispute with Experian, for example, to show proof, hey, these tax liens are frivolous. I just was late filing and they dropped. And so I need you to remove file number 12345. And here's the letter that proves that it was canceled, and attach that. And so you got to be very, very detailed. You submit that, and then they'll get back to you, or they'll try to, get through the full investigation in 30 days. but it can take like 60 days to complete. And then with Equifax, you call the Equifax Consumer Information Solutions Department and you tell them that you want to dispute. They're going to send you via email a copy of your business credit report. Then you have to fill out the form and attach it and send it back to them to tell them how you want to dispute. So yeah, it's not easy, but it is very straightforward, and that's how you fix business credit. All right. So do we have any other questions? All right. So Chef Stiletto, what's up, Chef? Says, does Experian Business have a free account like DMB? No. Experian doesn't from my experience, when you go to the businesscreditfacts.com website, the only options you have for free is to update something that you know is on your credit report. That's the only thing you can really do for free. The only other option is to buy an individual credit report or do what I suggest, which is pay the one-time annual fee to have a live copy of your business credit report with Experian 365 days a year. And it's only like $149, if I'm not mistaken, which is super cheap because you pay that once a year and you get a live copy of your business credit report versus having to rely on Nav, which is going to be delayed because Nav will only provide you an update once every 30 days. All right. Do we have any other questions, guys? Don't be shy. If not, what I'm gonna do is let me just I'm gonna end it in a few minutes, but let me just tell you as well. Okay, look, we've got one more question. So Jarrell, do you provide a service for business credit? Also, is business credit harder to fix than personal credit? And how much does your service cost? So I'm gonna answer each one by one. Do I provide a service for business credit? So a service. So no, if you mean do I like have a done for you service when it comes to business credit? No. The reason being is because there's really no way for someone else to build business credit for you. The closest thing you can come to that is if you have like a financial person on your team that handles your bill pay, and they just make sure that your bills are paid, like the net 30 payments or whatever, or your credit card payments are paid, which technically you should do. And I mentioned this in the last live, and I'm glad you said it because no matter what, even if that was an option, first of all, it would take way too long, to provide that type of service. But you want to be the person that has the knowledge necessary to build business credit. So that's why, like with GreenScale Academy, I have it set up to where I'm teaching you how to fish. I'm taking you to the lake and I'm teaching you how to fish. And then it's your, responsibility to pick up that rod and reel it in and, be patient enough to go through the process. Now, if you have someone that you're hiring to do that for you, you don't have the knowledge. And if that person leaves your company, they leave with that knowledge. And if you need to build business credit again for a new LLC or a new company, you won't be able to do that. So that's why I prefer to teach you how to fish versus fishing for you. Now, you said also, is business credit harder to fix than personal credit? The answer is quite simply yes. The reason I say that, and I got to watch my words here, is with consumer credit, regardless of the facts, there is a way that you can dispute using laws and statutes and policies to get the results that you want. With business credit, like I said before, if you really did miss a payment or they are reporting factually accurate information, you can dispute, but the chances of it being updated or removed is slim to none because we have on the consumer side, we have these different organizations that were created to protect the consumer. There's really nothing like that to protect a business from business reporting agencies. Okay. So, yes, it is harder, but if there is something that is inaccurate, you really should be able to get it removed. You may have to dispute, consecutive times in a row until they actually remove it, because these are human beings receiving your credit, your dispute, and deciding whether or not to update it or not. And sometimes they may not do a good job. But yes, it can be harder for sure. And so there is no price for that service because it doesn't exist. All we have is the mentorship and course, which is one and the same, which is the GreenScaleAcademy.com. And you can, let me go ahead and put this banner up. So that way, guys, if you're interested in GreenScale Academy, you can definitely check that out, because it does come with one-on-one direct mentorship through me. Plus, it's a full 6-week course where I teach you everything you need to know about business credit, business formation to maximize your capital potential, and how to raise capital through different, creative ways of getting funding. All right. Let's see. Do we have any other questions? So Tell them Tay says, is there a number I can reach you at? So good question. You see, I have something scrolling below. There isn't necessarily a number. Now you can always call us at GreenScale Credit at 912-304-0099 if you have any questions about our services or you want to sign up. But the best thing you can do is, especially if you're interested in GreenScale Academy, you can schedule a quick 15-minute complimentary call where I will call you personally and answer any questions you have about the course or the mentorship. Another option that you have to contact me directly is, and I just updated the banner below, is to book a one-on-one business credit coaching session with me. The link is in the description below as well. But yeah, you can, book a one-on-one session with me and I can give you a call. We got a full hour. You can pick my brain about business credit, or what I traditionally do on those calls is I ask where you are, right? Where do you currently stand? What you've done, what you've signed up for this far, and what your goal is in terms of business credit or funding. And then I'll help you line out a step-by-step blueprint of how to get from A to B. So those are some options that you can use to contact me. And then if anybody has any questions, you can always drop a question, drop your comment or question under one of my videos, because I always try to do my best of answering any questions that you guys may have. All right. Easy Travel says, how do I know it's time to do, to more to tier 2 looking at info from my Nav? So, the first thing I want to tell you is, regardless of if you have Nav or not, I want you to get into the habit of writing down what you've signed up for. Create a simple spreadsheet, or even like you can use notes on your iPhone or Android or whatever. Just write down what you signed up for, when you signed up for it, what type of account it is, net 30, net 7, charge card, corporate card, credit card, whatever, and when your next due date is. The reason I say that is because it can take anywhere from 60 to even up to 90 days in order for a new business vendor to report. So you want to keep trace of what hasn't reported, but is supposed to report. That way, if it doesn't report, you can start, backtracking and figuring out, is there any not misinformation, but mismatched data, or whatever the case may be. But to answer your question, if you are able to pull up Nav and everything that is reporting that's supposed to report, you may have missed it before, but I say the total, right, the end goal for establishing a solid foundation of business credit is to have 5 total trade references that report to Dun& Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian. Now, the best way that I can answer your question, honestly, would depend on your current credit standing, whether you have good credit or bad credit. Because if you have bad credit, I would recommend that you start off with 5 tier 1s before you even get into tier 2. But if you have good credit, meaning we're talking about FICO scores, FICO, FICO scores, if you have a FICO score of, let's say, 680 or better, then you can skip straight to tier 2 right out the gate, without even touching tier 1. But regardless, tier 1s are going to be the easiest way to stack up to that 5 trade references across the board. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, Chef said, if you already have Nav Boost, would you recommend upgrading to Nav Prime? So here's the thing. I'm glad you said this as well. And this is, just verification that I really need to make a updated video, because things have been changing a lot this year with Nav. So there is no more Business Boost. So right now with Nav, there's only Nav Prime, and then there's a $10 upgrade to get the 4th credit score. So if you just if you have in the past signed up for Nav Boost, you've now automatically been changed over to Nav Prime. Nav Boost has everything. I mean, Nav Prime is virtually the same thing as Nav Business Boost, except it just has a new name. Now, with Nav Prime, you get the net 30 account for the $49.99 that you pay every month. That's going to be reported to Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian, right? But on top of that, if you want to get your FICO SPSS score, the most important score, you got to pay a $10 upgrade in order to get that. So that's really the only difference now. So there is no more Nav Boost. And then, if you heard earlier, they've already kind of announced or hinted that they're about to come out with the Nav Prime Card, which is going to give us another trade line if you want to use it to continue to build business credit even more, like, times 2. But yeah, I really don't know, like, cause I'm waiting for that Nav Prime Card as well. And I'm glad to see that they have a waiting list. I didn't know they had that. So that's pretty cool. And then one more thing. So with Nav, there is still, I think with the $10 that you pay to upgrade from Nav Prime to the next tier, you can also get that subscription. No, it's not a subscription. They don't prefer for any of us to use the word subscription. But if you upgrade from Nav Prime to the next tier, you can also switch from having net 30 payments that report to having the installment loan payments report. Kind of like Credit Strong Business, except they report to all 3 of the major business credit bureaus. And then instead of you having to pay like $150 a month, you can just pay I want to say it's like $60 per month. But yeah, as soon as I get the information and they make it public, I will be making an updated video as soon as possible. All right. Do we have any other questions, guys, before we jump off? And also just let me know, like, how do you guys like this? Like, for me personally, as a full-time, serial entrepreneur, it can be hard for me to make videos. I try to do the best I can, but I think this is probably what I'm going to be doing a lot more, because it's really easy for me to jump on and go live and just, answer your guys' questions after I, touch on 4 things that I've been seeing is coming up, right? So just let me know how you guys feel about this. If you want me to continue to do this, every week or whatever the case may be. But it seems like we don't have any more questions. So guys, I just want to thank you again for joining me for this live. I will continue to do these lives most likely, but I want you guys, especially, even if you're watching the replay, to enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time of the day it is. As always, I love you guys and see you in the next video.